Good God. Brexit is happening.
Sweet Lord. Donald Trump is President of America. What is going on? How could this have happened?
The reason I started My Personality is because basically I had nothing to do. Psychometrics is about measuring what's in your brain. Personality, intelligence, the things that are in your head. My Personality is an app that I put on the Facebook platform in about June 2007. And what it did is it gave people a personality test and then feedback on the results. At the beginning, the data that was being collected was just people's personality test results. Unfortunately, because it's on Facebook, you've got all sorts of behavior from what they like, what they're talking about, who they're talking to. You can take the fact that they like Coke or Pepsi or this musician or this celebrity or this artist, bring it all together, and then you can start making predictions about them as an individual. Can you predict someone's IQ score? Can you predict someone's race? Can you predict someone's religion? And all of these things are predictable just from the things that people like on Facebook. You can know them almost as well as a husband or wife. We found that people who have a high IQ tend to like things like science, but also things like curly fries for some reason. People who are more competitive, they like the groups on Facebook called I Hate You, I Hate Everyone, I Hate the Police, also Prada. So now that you can know what they really like as a person, you can craft the perfect message at the perfect time to persuade them to have your point of view.
Cambridge Analytica?
I was researching fake news after Donald Trump had got elected, and as part of that, this academic who I spoke to said, yes, and you have a company like Cambridge Analytica who worked for Donald Trump and worked in the Leave campaign. Most companies that work in political campaigns, they are hired hands who come in for a season and work for a candidate. And Cambridge Analytica is different because it's been bought by this very politically motivated billionaire. And he's employed some of the smartest people on the planet to find techniques to try and change the way that people think.
So I first came across Cambridge Analytica in about January 2014. And they were interested in, can you bring your technology to our company?
Why did you decide not to work with them?
Selling soul versus, yeah. Although we decided not to work together, it seems like they collected their own data.
I think one of the problems with a lot of psychometric stuff is it's extrapolating something that you really can't extrapolate. Everyone has messy bits of their data online. They accidentally click on something on an advert without meaning to. And we all leave these signals behind it, but a lot of the time these signals just aren't very meaningful. And I think a lot of the things that are claimed for Cambridge Analytica just simply aren't possible to do. Somebody has to win every election. And what happens every time somebody wins is everyone assumes that the winning side did everything brilliantly, and everyone tends to assume that the losing side did everything wrong. And really it turns out actually reaching enough people is not mainly to do with clever technology, it's just to do with spending lots of money.
We know that these techniques can be effective and can be successful at kind of shifting attitudes, at kind of influencing behavior, but it doesn't mean that you could turn a Hillary voter into a Trump supporter. I mean, it's really difficult to say to what extent something like psychological targeting really influenced the US presidential election or Brexit, simply because there's no data.
If you think about these big tech platforms, about Google and Facebook, these are totally dark inside. We don't know how their algorithms work. We don't know what they're doing with our data. We don't know how Cambridge Analytica is weaponizing this information. And I don't think that's freedom.
You will give us your data. You will vote how we say.
We will give you our data. We will vote how you say.
If you think about it, like even Obama used behavioral targeting or just data insights in their campaign, and no one really complained because it was just like seen as something progressive and something like a smart use of data. And in a way, psychological targeting is not so different. The same techniques could be used to help people engage with democracy or eat healthier or just save energy. So in a way, I don't think that there's a persuasion technique that in and by itself is bad. In the end, it just comes down to communicating with people in a way that makes it sound interesting, that makes it sound like it's something they want to put their vote in for.
I did not know that.
This viewpoint suits my interests.
When can we vote?
We know that social networks have very positive effects. They can help us keep in touch with our friends and family. There's also a lot more going on behind the scenes. I think if you look to what's happening in China at the moment, you can see a possibly a prediction of the way that Western society is going. I can give an example maybe. So the Chinese bank that uses your WeChat social media data to offer you loans, and if you don't repay the loan, then they post on your social media profile and embarrass you in front of your friends and family.
Leading academics and people from the enforcement agencies, they all came together last year to talk about the way that digital campaigning had changed our electoral system. And they just said, we're helpless. And they said, we urgently, urgently, urgently need to have our electoral laws reviewed. Literally 2 weeks later, a general election was called, and it was business as usual. We've just got to really wake up and make some of these changes before something catastrophic happens.
Nobody messes with my kids' data!
You can't get away from this. Even if you're not using the internet, if you're using a credit card, if you're using a store loyalty card, then there will be some very intimate data about you being collected. If I think who would be most able to predict when I'm going to die, it would be Tesco from my club card.
Do you feel responsible for what has happened since these techniques have been used?
I'm quite proud that the fact that we published our findings and it got such wide media coverage means that people really are thinking about what their data means. They're thinking about, should I unlike the things that I have on Facebook? Should I be on Facebook at all? Although Cambridge Analytica use such abilities, it's still at a very early stage. It's perhaps not at the stage where this is something that we can't overcome now that there's a public discussion.
Well done, darling.